Empedocles of Akragas. Empedocles was a brilliant pre-Socratic Greek philosopher. He's the man who laid the foundation for the theory of the four classical elements: earth, water, fire, and air, a concept that shaped Western thought for centuries. He even proposed an early theory of evolution, nearly 2,000 years before Charles Darwin. But despite his immense intellect, Empedocles suffered from a fatal case of overconfidence. He became convinced that he wasn't just a man, but a being destined for divinity. He believed that by jumping into a volcano, he would ascend and finally become a god. To prove this experiment to the world, he actually invited a crowd of friends and acquaintances to witness his transformation. On a day in 430 BCE, in front of a massive audience, he boldly leaped into the crater of Mount Etna in Sicily. No godhood was achieved. The volcano spat back one lone, half-burnt sandal. Following the incident, wild rumors spread that Empedocles had been blasted all the way to the moon and was still living there. But realistically, he was almost certainly dead. Aeschylus. Aeschylus was a legendary ancient Greek playwright, famously known as the father of tragedy. His legacy was built on timeless, heavy works like The Persians, Oresteia, and Prometheus Bound. But while his plays were dramatic, his death was just plain ridiculous. In 455 BCE, Aeschylus began spending all his time outdoors. Why? Because a prophecy had predicted a falling object would kill him. He figured that if he stayed away from buildings and roofs, he'd be perfectly safe. However, he figured wrong. Aeschylus was completely bald, and as he was walking one day, an eagle soaring above mistook his shiny head for a rock. Eagles have a habit of grabbing turtles and dropping them onto stones to crack their shells open. The eagle dropped its bomb from the sky, aiming right for the rock below. The turtle hit Aeschylus squarely on the head, killing him instantly. Tiberius Claudius Drusus. Tiberius Claudius Drusus was a Roman prince, the son of the emperor Claudius. He lived during the early years of the Common Era, but since he died young without any major achievements, history has little to say about him. Well, except for one thing: his incredibly embarrassing death. Being born into nobility meant Drusus had a lot of free time and very little to do. One day, out of pure boredom, he decided to entertain himself with a stunt, tossing pears into the air and trying to catch them in his mouth. While performing this completely pointless trick, he made a miscalculation. A pear became lodged in his throat, and he choked to death on the spot. And just like that, a Roman prince's legacy was sealed by a piece of fruit. To clarify, pears in ancient Rome were much smaller than the ones we see in supermarkets today. They were only slightly larger than a quail egg, the perfect size to be swallowed whole by mistake. Milo of Croton. Milo of Croton was the ultimate powerhouse of ancient Greece. To give you an idea of his dominance, he won the Olympic wrestling championship 5 times in a row. He wasn't just an athlete, he was a living legend of brute strength. But all that winning went straight to his head. One day, while walking through the countryside, Milo spotted a tree stump with a deep crack running through it. Instead of just walking past it, his overconfidence kicked in. He decided to prove he was stronger than nature itself by splitting the stump in half using nothing but his bare hands. He jammed his fingers into the crack and pulled with everything he had. But Milo forgot one thing. He was used to wrestling humans, not timber. As he pulled, the wood didn't snap, it clamped down. His hand was pinned, trapping him against the stump. Unable to move and completely vulnerable, Milo's luck finally ran out. A lion emerged from the wild, and with the world's greatest wrestler unable to fight back, the rest is history. Sophocles. Sophocles was one of the 3 great tragedians of ancient Greece. For nearly 50 years, he was the undisputed king of the Athenian stage, and his plays continue to be performed to this very day. We're talking about an absolutely stacked resume with serious writing power. Even legends can get too passionate. The rumor is that in his later years, well past the age of 90, Sophocles remained as intense as ever. During one performance, He personally stood on stage to recite a famous line from his play Antigone. The line was incredibly long, and because Sophocles was a perfectionist who strictly followed punctuation rules, he refused to pause to catch his breath. He tried to power through the entire sentence in one go. By the time he finished, he had likely suffered from severe oxygen deprivation. He collapsed unconscious on the spot, and given his advanced age, there was nothing the doctors could do. It was, quite literally, a textbook case of unplugging your own life support.